Before we start the program, let us rise for the invocation, to be followed by the Philippine National Anthem. O Divine Creator, our Father, our Allah, and our Bathala, we implore your guidance as we are gathered here today for our event. We are thankful for this day. We humbly pray that you will bless us with wisdom to understand the sharing of knowledge and learnings from our speakers, organizers, and co-participants. May we learn to respect each other's opinions and points of views, and at the end, work together as one family for the recovery and success of the Philippine tourism industry. Strengthen us and give us wisdom to be able to reach out to more of our countrymen and help in spreading the benefits of tourism to a wider segment of the society. We constantly ask, O Lord, for your mercy, forgiveness, love, protection, and guidance forever and ever. Amen.
Magiliw, telas ng sinakalan, alam ng puso, sa dikit mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, tuyag ka ng magiting, sa manlulupin, di ka pasisingil, sa nagagang tutok sa simoy at sa langit kong bangaw, ay nilagang tulad, awit sa pagkayang minamahal, ang isang ng matawad mo'y tagumpay na naghihindig, ang bituin at araw niya kailan pamay di magtitingin. Luman ang araw ng walhagin pagsinta, buhay langit sa piling ko. Ang inigaya ng pagkay mga amin, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Good morning and welcome to Convergence on Tourism Education and Training, moving forward and beyond. Let us welcome our host for this event. Ladies and gentlemen, a warm round of applause for Ms. Lilibet Aragon.
Good morning and mabuhay! We welcome all our guests and participants from Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, and outside of the Philippines. We are aptly represented this morning as we have attendees from the academe, the government sector, business, industry, and of course, our relevant stakeholders. We hope all of you are well and safe in the comfort of your homes or offices. We also hope that you're enjoying the best of internet connectivity so all of us can optimize our learnings in this event. We are streaming live in Facebook, Zoom, and YouTube. This morning, all of us will witness an exceptional milestone as we celebrate the ceremonial signing of the Memorandum of Understanding among the Department of Tourism, Commission on Higher Education, Technical Education Skills Development Authority, and the Tourism Industry Board Foundation Incorporated. This will be followed by a panel discussion on the convergence for tourism and hospitality education and training in the Philippines. And to give us a background on the Memorandum of Understanding, may we call the dynamic director of the Office of Industry Manpower and Development of the Department of Tourism, Director Rowena Lu Y. Montesillo. Director Weng?
Thank you very much, Doc Beth, and to our distinguished officials and colleagues from our partner agencies, namely the Department of Education, Technical Education and Skills Development Authority, Commission on Higher Education, and the Tourism Industry Board Foundation Incorporated. To our colleagues in the Department of Tourism, central and regional offices headed by, of course, our Tourism Secretary Bernadette Romulo Puyat and Assistant Secretary Maria Rica Bueno, friends in the tourism private sector, ladies and gentlemen, mabuhay at magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. The beginnings of the preparatory work on this Memorandum of Understanding takes us back to 2012 when the Department of Tourism, together with the TIBFI and TESDA, were just starting the rollout of the implementation of the Asean Mutual Recognition Arrangements on Tourism Professionals, or the MRATP. Although the TESDA and TIBFI were identified as key bodies in the MRATP, being the designated Tourism Professional Certification Board and the National Tourism Professional Board, respectively, we realized along the way that the Commission on Higher Education's role is also important, as the ASEAN Common Competency Standards and the Common ASEAN Tourism Curriculum have to be embedded in the tourism and hospitality curriculum. Also during that time, the Philippine Qualifications Framework was established and passed into law through Republic Act No. 10968. The following year, the Enhanced Basic Education Act of 2013 was passed into law through Republic Act 10533, which we know as the K-12 system. We also know that the aim of these laws are to ultimately prepare graduates for tertiary education and become work-ready. This implies that we should also be working with the Department of Education. Alongside these developments, several issues and concerns on tourism education and training system were raised not only by industry but also by the academe. The relentless issue on skills gap and skills mismatch has been lingering and definitely impacted on quality tourism services. Thus, the DOT initiated the signing of an agreement that would bring together all agencies involved in tourism education. For one reason or another, despite willingness of these agencies, the MOU was set aside even as the DOT continued to work well with TIBFI, TESDA, and SHED, and sparingly with DepEd, either on separate or joint undertakings. However, we realized that our harmonization efforts have to be institutionalized through a formal agreement that would provide a mechanism and ensure agency support to the program supporting tourism human capital development. And so today, we join everyone to witness this important landmark event as the heads of agencies of the DOT, DepEd, SHED, TESDA, and TIBFI signed the MOU on Convergence on Tourism Education and Human Capital Development. A journey that took a lot of twists and turns finally becomes a reality. This is not the culmination, but yet the beginning of another journey as these partner agencies commit to bring tourism education and training to greater heights and achieve the vision of the Philippines as a center for tourism education in Asia. Maraming salamat po sa inyo at magandang umaga.
For her opening message, let us welcome the Secretary of the Department of Tourism, Secretary Bernadette Romulo Puya.
DepEd Secretary Leonor Briones, TESDA Director General Isidro S. La Peña, CHED Chairperson Prospero E. De Vera III, TIBFI Chairperson Maria Cristina G. Aquino. Good day. I am pleased to welcome everyone to the ceremonial signing of the MOU Memorandum of Understanding of the Department of Tourism, Commission on Higher Education, Technical Education and Skills Development Authority, Department of Education, and the Tourism Industry Board Foundation, Inc. This event marks an important milestone in tourism human capital development in the Philippines, as this will institutionalize the harmonization efforts of the government sector, the academe, and the tourism industry. Through the signing of this MOU, we can work towards the strengthening of industry-led education and training, which will standardize academic and practical instructions with the end result of producing world-class tourism professionals. There are several issues and challenges facing tourism education and training that need to be addressed. These are the following: skills mismatch between school leavers, college graduates, and industry requirements, outdated curriculum in many institutions, lack of teachers with industry experience, the brain drain of trained tourism professionals overseas, lack of a teacher certification system that is accessible and affordable for industry professionals, the teachers' lack of current industry knowledge, the training facilities in most institutions do not meet requirement of skills training, and lastly, OJTs and other practicums are not well planned and managed in most institutions and host organizations. The MOU highlights the creation of a joint working group on key programs such as the Asean Mutual Recognition Arrangement for Tourism Professionals, training, assessment, and certification of tourism professionals, harmonized tourism curriculum for both higher educational institutions and senior high school apprenticeship and immersion programs. We hope that this convergence will pave the way to a seamless transition from senior high school to higher education, ensuring that our students are work ready when they enter the industry. Today, we will also be ceremonially turning over the ASEAN toolboxes. These contain the ASEAN Common Competency Standards for Professionals, or ACC STP, that tourism and hospitality educators and trainers from K1 to K12, higher educational institutions and TechVoc education and training institutions can use as added. The ACC STP covers 6 labor divisions identified in the ASEAN Mutual Recognition Arrangements for Tourism Professionals, namely housekeeping, food and beverage services, food production, office, travel agency, and tour operation services. We would like to thank our partner agencies for the recognition and priority given to the tourism industry, as this will help the workforce develop essential skills that meet or even surpass international levels of quality. These joint efforts will continue to raise the quality of our tourism industry in the Philippines, in addition to building the resiliency needed to overcome challenges we may yet to face. Maraming salamat po at mabuhay.
For her message, let us welcome the Secretary of the Department of Education, Secretary Leonor M. Briones.
Good day, everyone. It is a great honor for the Department of Education to participate in this virtual signing of the Memorandum of Understanding on the convergence of tourism education and training. And our theme here is moving forward and beyond. Um, it's great to be partners with long-time SUKI like the Department of Tourism, the Commission on Higher Education, the Technical Education Skills and Development Authority, as well as our own department and the Tourism Industry Board Foundation. I have noticed in my travels around the country to visit our schools, especially our junior and senior high schools, that there is a great interest in tourism. And it's one of the more popular fields of endeavor that our learners are very interested in, not just as students, but as potential workers. For example, in Bohol, I visited a facility in one of our high schools wherein the hotels and tourism groups contributed towards the building of facilities for our senior high school and junior high school students to practice the profession and the art of rendering tourism services to our people as well as to all our visitors. Tourism is a very popular economic activity uh, which many of our young learners want to engage in. Uh, there are many objectives and highlights of this program, and which is covered in the Memorandum of Understanding. But on the part of DepEd, we are conscious of our role and the commitment that we are making in order to make this memorandum a reality. We commit to coordinate, to develop, and implement a tourism track curriculum for senior high school. And as I said, this is very popular in coordination with TESDA, with CHED, with the Department of Tourism, Tourism Industry Board Foundation, and other relevant agencies. I have visited and stayed in hotels where our very own senior high school students are doing their immersion programs and exercises. And I understand that many of them end up being absorbed by these tourism industries as well as their business activities. And we are very proud of the accomplishments of our learners. I can immediately tell who the senior kids are. They're fresh, they're young, and they're very enthusiastic. And most of all, they're very polite and very caring. We see them in the hotels, in program facilities, and many other places where tourism is a major activity. So thank you very much for this opportunity to put finally into writing, into a formal memorandum of agreement, the things, the activities that we have been engaged in for some time already in cooperation with our fellow agencies in government as well as the foundation. And we hope that this memorandum of agreement will give us of understanding, will give us the legal mandate and the push to even do more to encourage tourism education among our learners and to encourage our learners to work in tourism-related industries upon their graduation or when they go out into the world and enter the world of adults and work. Thank you very much.
For his message, let us welcome the Secretary of the Technical Education and Skills Development Authority, Secretary Isidro S. La Peña.
Secretary Bernadette Romulo Puyat of Department of Tourism, Secretary Leonor Briones of Department of Education, Chairman Prospero de Vera III, Commission on Higher Education, Chairperson Maria Cristina Aquino of Tourism Industry Board Foundation Incorporated, other officials of the Department of Tourism, Department of Education, CHED, TESDA, and Tourism Industry Board Foundation Incorporated. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, everyone. I am glad to be with you today and to be part of this important event. The signing of an MOU among the country's education agencies, the DepEd, Commission on Higher Education, and TESDA, as well as with the Department of Tourism and the Tourism Industry Board Foundation Incorporated, introduces a much-needed convergence and partnership. This agreement shall harmonize activities and programs of tourism, education, and training, so that everyone involved in this industry is on the same page to move towards a common goal. Before the COVID-19 pandemic hit us, tourism was the largest employer by sector, giving work to 1 in every 11 people. The tourism industry allows our kababayans to experience some of the world's cultural and natural riches. At the same time, it allows the rest of the world to get a glimpse of the warmth and hospitality that the Filipinos are renowned for. Further, tourism also allows our many kababayans to contribute significantly to this country's economic growth and development. The current pandemic, however, greatly affected the industry in just a few months. This agreement that we have all committed to shows our united front to combat the disease and to collectively take on the challenge of rebuilding and recovering the sector. The tourism industry's greatest strength is its professionals, and TESDA promises to do its part in retooling and upskilling this valuable human resource. TESDA shall continue to develop training regulations for the sector and enhance the assessment and certification system, as well as the system for registry of certified workers. We shall make sure that the training provided to workers and professionals strictly comply with national standards, Asean Common Competency Standards on tourism professionals, and other international standards. We shall also continue to work closely with concerned government agencies to support the implementation of the Asean Mutual Recognition Arrangement on Tourism Professionals. This is done to ensure that our Filipino tourism practitioners have the best tools and the most updated knowledge to guarantee that they remain relevant and competitive. This shall also allow these workers to be fully prepared to perform and function in the new normal. We express our gratitude to the Department of Tourism for the Asean toolkits, which shall be a big help in training our workers to become world-class tourism professionals. Let us all work as close partners to see the sector regain its former position as an essential provider of opportunities. Maraming salamat po at mabuhay tayo lahat.
For his message, let us welcome the Chairman of Commission on Higher Education, Chairman Jose Prospero de Vera III.
Romulo Puyat, Education Secretary Leonor Briones, TESDA Secretary Isidro da Peña, Tourism Industry Board Foundation Chairperson Maria Cristina Aquino, the heads and officers and members of various tourism associations, tourism enterprises, and tourism education and training institutions, the academe, tourism and hospitality professionals and students. Good morning to all of you. Over the past months, the world has faced an unprecedented global health, social, and economic emergency with the COVID-19 pandemic. Travel restrictions has been put in place in virtually all countries around the world. Airplanes remained on the ground, and hotel and other tourism facilities remain closed. According to the World Tourism Organization, in an unprecedented blow to the tourism sector, the COVID-19 pandemic has cut international tourist arrivals in the first quarter of 2020 to a fraction of what they were a year ago. Prospects for the year have been downgraded numerous times since the outbreak in view of the high level of uncertainty during the period of the pandemic. By regions, Asia and the Pacific, the first region to suffer the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, saw a 35% decrease in arrivals in the first quarter of 2020. The second hardest hit was Europe with a 19% decline, followed by the Americas, Africa, and the Middle East. Since the government closed the airports in Luzon on 20 March as part of the enhanced community quarantine that started in March, the tourism sector has continuously felt the negative impact of the pandemic, and its performance has suffered. The Commission commends the work of Secretary Bernadette Romulo Puyat for trying its best to assist the tourism sector rise even during the times of uncertainty. I have personally witnessed in the IATF meetings how the tourism sector Secretary has continuously asserted and pushed for government assistance to the tourism sector. Thank you, Secretary Bernadette Romulo Puyat. The Philippines owes you a debt of gratitude for fighting for the tourism sector. As we continue to battle the COVID-19 pandemic, the question that we all have to answer is, how do we get back in flight? How can the government help tourism-related businesses? On the part of the Commission, we recognize the important role of tourism as one of the most important economic sectors, providing livelihood to hundreds of millions of people while boosting economies and enabling countries to thrive. Academic institutions have a significant role in the development of human capital through curricular programs, with research being one of the key components in the professionalization of the hospitality and tourism industry. Grants for education training and advising of tourism stakeholders for the new normal, alternative learning programs are needed. We need to adopt and promote online teaching methodologies to allow greater flexibility among higher education institutions. So the Commission on Higher Education, together with the Department of Tourism, the Technical Education and Skills Development Authority, the Department of Education, and the Tourism Industry Board Foundation, now sign a historic Memorandum of Understanding to converge and work together so that various activities can be undertaken to harmonize tourism, education, and training. CHED looks forward to working towards the strengthening of an industry-led education and training that will stabilize and standardize academic and practical instructions with an end result of producing world-class tourism professionals. CHED will coordinate with the concerned government agencies in the harmonization of policies, strategies, and programs for the design, development, and implementation of a seamless tourism education program pathway that spans secondary, technical, vocational, and tertiary education. We will also ensure compliance of all tourism-related degree programs to the Philippine Qualifications Framework, or PQF, and other relevant international reference frameworks. I am confident that this initiative will also undertake capability and calibration training in partnership with relevant government agencies for the wide array of stakeholders in tourism and hospitality management education. Indeed, today we start collaboration in an opportunity to rebuild the sector by helping the various players upskill and digitize, rethink the way they do business, and ensure compliance with safety and health standards. We take this opportunity to retool students for the new normal and perhaps calibrate our learning outcomes based on the new normal adjustments and innovations of the tourism industry. Through combined effort and hard work, I am confident that the tourism industry will achieve better success after this pandemic. Thank you and good day.
For her message, let us welcome the chairperson of the Tourism Industry Board Foundation Incorporated, Chairperson Maria Cristina Aquino.
Thank you very much. The road leading to this historical moment, the signing of Memorandum of Understanding on the Convergence on Tourism Education and Training, took a lot of twists, turns, but finally it is here upon us. The theme moving forward and beyond captures a lot of the sentiments of the various stakeholders as we move forward and go beyond. My heartfelt greetings of Mabuhay, the Filipino brand of service. Let me take time to introduce the Tourism Industry Board Foundation Incorporated. We were established in 1980, so we are going on our 40 years of existence this year. We used to be known as the Hotel and Restaurant Industry Board Foundation, existing during the NMYC days, and to this day, we are the only existing industry board from those days. We are an umbrella of many sectors that play a significant role in creating the tourism experience. It's a tripartite organization that's composed of industry and academe, government, and labor. The members are associations, institutions, and individuals who are all stakeholders in tourism and hospitality. Why is there a need to work together? They say it takes a village to raise a child. To raise a child, to educate a child, or to create jobs, or to create work for a tourism professional. The output of one unit will be the input of another agency, and so there is need to ensure that there is synergy in all the efforts of the various agencies so that graduates of any educational agency will have the necessary competence of knowledge, attitude, values, and skills that are needed in the industry, or if they want to proceed to the next educational agency to pursue higher educational certifications. It is our way of continuing the great tradition of being the preferred tourism professional, creating the unique experience for local and international tourists to the various destinations that we have. We have many tourism professionals who are working on land, sea, and air-based enterprises, and we hope to continue that in the future. Moving forward, DEBFI will provide technical assistance to CHED, TESDA, and DepEd in the development and enhancement of curriculum, training regulations, policy standards, curriculum guides, and guidelines for the tourism sector. As a designated Philippines National Tourism Professional Board, or the NTPB in Asean, we assist TESDA in implementing the competency-based training and assessment program for the tourism sector. We have been creating awareness and dissemination of information about the ASEAN Mutual Recognition Arrangement on tourism professional, as well as other related programs for the last so many years. But I hope together, starting today, the synergy that we create will create bigger steps in making this information available. We also would like to facilitate exchange of information on assessment procedures, criteria, systems, manuals, and publications relating to the mutual recognition arrangements for tourism professionals. We will promote, update, maintain, and monitor the ASEAN Common Competency Standards for Tourism Professionals, or the ACC-STP, and the Common ASEAN Tourism Curriculum, or the CATC, and facilitate the exchange of best practices in the tourism sector. With this Memorandum of Understanding, we commit to participate actively in the joint working group to realize objectives of the MOU. And because the tourism industry is one of the economic drivers in the Philippines, creating employment and entrepreneurs who will provide products and services for local and international tourist consumption. We look forward to be part of the Convergence, and we leave you with a greeting of Mabuhay again. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the positive and highly encouraging messages of commitment. Now, we put the spotlight back on our virtual floor to witness the virtual signing of the Memorandum of Understanding as we call back Secretary Bernadette Romulo Puyat from the Department of Tourism, Secretary Leonor M. Briones from the Department of Education, Secretary Isidro La Peña from the Technical Education Skills Development Authority, Chairperson J. Prospero de Vera III from the Commission on Higher Education, Chairperson Maria Cristina G. Aquino from the Tourism Industry Board Foundation, Incorporated. Round of applause, please. Today, there is a time to let things happen and a thing to make things happen. The signing of this Memorandum of Understanding is an indication of commitment to prioritize a more holistic approach in providing high-impact programs and projects between and among the Department of Tourism, the Commission on Higher Education, the Department of Education, Technical Education Skills Development Authority, and the Tourism Industry Board Foundation, Incorporated. Congratulations. We believe that unity is the heart of any great achievement, and we look forward to a more inclusive, harmonized, and cohesive outcomes based on these convergence initiatives. Once again, we offer our virtual toast for successful beginnings. Congratulations and mabuhay. Moving on to the next part of our webinar, we have our panel discussion. The theme of our panel discussion is Tourism and Hospitality Education, Moving Forward and Beyond, with key officials of relevant government agencies and a representative from the industry who will discuss topics critical to convergence updates in tourism and hospitality education and training in the Philippines. The objectives of this discussion is grounded on, first one, Philippine education landscape's transition to a better normal, alignment of program offerings vis-a-vis industry needs, operationalizing convergence, leveraging curricular enhancements, soliciting industry commitment. And to start, may I introduce our first speaker. She is currently the Assistant Secretary of the Office of Tourism Regulation, Coordination, and Resource Generation of the Department of Tourism. She will discuss the Philippines as Center for Education Tourism, working together beyond the new normal. It's an honor to introduce on the virtual floor Assistant Secretary Maria Rica C. Bueno.
Thank you, Dr. Beth.
Asek Rika, I think you're muted right now.
Yes, yes.
Thank
So
you.
sorry. Yeah, okay. So good morning again to everyone. It is indeed a very special occasion today because as you have heard from Tina Aquino earlier that the work in putting together or having this MOU or convergence among key partners and government agencies in pursuing the improvement and enhancement on tourism education and training in our country has begun many years ago. So ang biruan nga namin in our group, kasi matagal na po kaming nagtatrabaho as a group, no, with TIVFI, with TESDA, CHED, and now with DepEd. It took a pandemic for all of us to come together and have this convergence happen. So this morning po, on behalf of the Department of Tourism, we'd like to share with you some of the programs in support of this convergence. I know for many of you who have been attending the webinars of the Department of Tourism, some of this information you already know, but let me just go through with it one more time para po I know we may have new participants or attendees in our session this morning. So I'd title of course, my presentation as the Philippines in becoming or a center of education tourism, no? And it's really working beyond the new normal. For everybody's information, or baka hindi natin alam that the Department of Tourism has actually formulated a Philippine Tourism Human Resource Development Plan, and this is 2015 to 2020. And sabi nga natin, because the Philippines' natural strength is its people, as Filipinos, no? So this strategy is really increasing or enhancing the country's competitiveness through people. The HR development strategy will complement our destination's product development and meeting strategies by strengthening the soft components of the Philippine tourism product. So the objectives of this HRD plan was really to strengthen tourism education and training institutions to ensure sustainable supply of highly competent, well-motivated, and productive tourism graduates. Second is to address the skills gap, prepare people for employment, and push for review and updating of labor laws and employment practices. And lastly is to improve the quality of human resources from the Department of Tourism and the local government units serving tourism to ensure a higher level of service in the destinations. We recognize po kasi, very particular in the HRD, that we want the people working in the Department of Tourism would also have the proper skills and knowledge to be able to deliver the services that is required from us. No? So now in the recruitment process and procedure of our department, tinitingnan na po talaga yung the various skills and knowledge of our incoming team members of the Department of Tourism. So there are four key areas of the HRD plan, and this is supporting tourism development, strengthening tourism education and training na nga, that as we have mentioned earlier, addressing the skills gaps and preparing people for employment, updating the employment legislation, and at the same time, enhancing public sector human resources. Perhaps as we move forward, no, in this convergence, the Department of Labor and Employment will also play a key role in all of these initiatives and programs with regard to tourism human development. Because the HRD plan was formulated in 2015, and this was actually made possible when the Department of Tourism has a technical assistance given by the Asian Development Bank and funded by the Government of Canada. So we need to update. Now the Office of Industry Manpower Development is in the process of engaging the consulting firm to handle the updating of the Philippine Tourism HRD plan. And the activities that will entail in the updating of this plan is the conduct of a situational analysis and consultations with industry players. Also for the formulation of new programs under our updated HRD plan. The conduct of, what is also important is the conduct of tourism labor market study, including tools to monitor Philippine tourism labor markets. So we want to really, to monitor how our tourism graduates, tourism and hospitality graduates are really finding employment here and even in outside of the Philippines. And then last is the conduct of focus group discussions to determine human capital needs and issues of the workforce and stakeholders, as well as LGUs in the tourism value chain. Next slide. Next. So most of you may have encountered already that we are in the middle of the implementation of the ASEAN Mutual Recognition Arrangement on Tourism Professionals. And the Philippines, together with TESDA, being the country's Tourism Certification Professional Board, and the Tourism Industry Board Foundation, being the Philippines National Tourism Professional Board, and of course with CHED and DepEd and all others, we have been working together in conducting various activities to implement the Philippine commitment under the ASEAN MRA on tourism professionals. Next slide, please. So, and one of the responsibility of the Philippines in this endeavor is we were given the task to update the ASEAN Common Competency Standards for tourism professional toolbox. Kasi meron po yung ACCSTP, of course, the standards, and there are toolboxes that come with it para it would be easier or to facilitate the conduct of training, no, of our professionals in the region. So we have done consultations and have attended the workshops organized by the ASEAN Secretariat in this regard. Next slide, please. And then in the country, we have been doing, the Department of Tourism has been doing a lot of webinars. Pre-COVID time, we've been doing this ASEAN Toolbox connection orientation seminars to members of the academe and the tourism private sector to make them aware of how to use this ASEAN toolboxes. And pre-COVID, we've been doing this face-to-face. But of course, since the start of the community quarantine, online na po lahat itong delivery in the meantime ng ating mga ASEAN MRA webinars. So this is really a continuing program of DOT. Now, one program that the DOT has embarked on, and also as a result, one of the outputs of the ADB-CIDA technical assistance, are these on-the-job training manuals. Next slide, please. This came about because in the process of having that situational analysis on the tourism and education and training in the country, there are issues and concerns from the academic side. No, sinasabi nga na the OJT programs oftentimes are not well planned. The requirements of the different schools, colleges, and institutions are really, vary from one school to another. Insufficient or the lack of really good monitoring tools. And then the duration, this is 2015, this is the situation years ago, but yung duration under the CMO of CHED Memorandum Order number 62, this has been standardized already, and the practicum for tourism and hospitality students would be a minimum of 600 hours. So medyo na-address na natin yan. And then, of course, there are still maybe perhaps some schools that would take practicum really as not as important. So hindi ganun ka-priority. On the host establishment side naman, the issues that we are facing is that the approach to the OJT program is not systematic. The type of experience offered by these hotels or even travel agencies, kasi at times, or transport, there are also OJTs in our airline companies. The experience offered varies. The employer requirements also are unclear, and most of the time, menial tasks or assignments are given to our trainees. So next slide. So to address this, we have formulated the manuals, and really it is aimed at generating a stronger partnership between the academic community, the schools, and the tourism private sector. More importantly, the accommodation sector, the travel and tour sector, and the tourism transport sector, because this is where all our student trainees have been doing their OJTs. to also emphasize the importance of actual learning. So we really need that yung experience po, industry experience or exposure for our students is really an important aspect of their study period. And then to implement the OJT program systematically to develop work skills para nga we can have industry-ready graduates to also address the perennial concern of mismatch. No? Dito, I always say that kulang lang siguro sa stronger collaboration and communication between the academic community and the industry private sector para ma-address natin yung mismatch na sinasabi. So there are 4 manuals that were formulated, and this would cover the 4 labor divisions also within the framework of the ASEAN MRA on tourism professionals. So meron pong manual for housekeeping, food service, F&B, and front office. Next slide. Food production, I mean. So the manuals would really provide guidance on the roles of the students, teachers, and host establishment. It supports it has guidelines with easy to follow documents. So meron pong mga templates ito. Later in the slide, I'll just show you very quickly. And it would allow flexibility that is not rigid and overly prescriptive. It teaches best practices and methods, generate awareness and communication, and of course, promote systematic approach to practicum programs. Next slide, please. So the manuals po really would have checklists in terms of operations, procedures, and management functions, depending on the labor division. So whether a checklist for housekeeping, a checklist for front office, and a checklist for food production, and F&B are all provided for in these manuals. Ano na po talaga to? It's an easy to follow manual for everyone to use, both by the host establishment and by the educational institution. Ayan, meron po mga sample work and learning plans kasama dyan sa manual. Next slide. Now, similarly, because one of the issues also that was identified in the PTHRD was the lack of industry experience by our tourism and hospitality educators and event trainers. So along with the OJT manual, the ADBCDA also has helped the Department of Tourism in coming up with a teacher immersion program manual. So almost the same lang po, mini-mirror niya yung contents na may mga checklists, may mga templates, and procedures in the conduct of the TIP program. So this is actually what we have been trying to work out also with SHED on how we are able to give this opportunity to our teachers of tourism and hospitality program. So we've been doing OJT manual orientation the past years, and we have also partnered with RMA in printing and producing the manuals para ma-distribute po nila sa kanilang mga members. The idea also of having that OJT manual orientation with the presence of both the schools and the hotels is also to be able to have some kind of matching, para nagkaroon ng pag-uusap if they are able to provide a particular program for the students ng isang school. So yun din po yung platform where we introduce prospective schools to a particular accommodation establishment, because we invite hotels in that orientation. Now, one major program of the Department of Tourism is also to promote the country for learning and destination for education. And we have an Office of Product and Market Development that is focused on this. Next slide, please. So, and we all know that education tourism is a niche tourism product that is identified in our NTDP 2016-2022 National Tourism Development Plan that's projected to deliver strong future growth with increased visitor length of stay and expenditures. We know that when a student comes, prospective student or learner comes to the Philippines to do for education tourism, hindi po yan 3 days na stay. It's usually for an ESL, the minimum would be a 2-week ESL program. So length of stay is really longer for our education tourism market. Next slide, please. So as you can see, I'm sorry for the garbled fonts, but these are actually the 10 tourism products identified in our NTDP, and education tourism is one of the products that is going to be the offering of the Philippines to the foreign market. And this is along with our usual cultural tourism, MICE, nature tourism, and farm tourism, farm and food tourism being the newest product to be included in our portfolio. Next slide, please. So, what we are promoting right now sa Department of Tourism, and actually, this was conceptualized, the ESL program of the Department of Tourism was conceptualized as early as 2004. Because I can say, because I used to be with the Office of Product Research and Development at the time. Kasi after RA 95-93 po, in 2009, nagkaroon ng reorganization ng Department of Tourism. But prior to that, there is an Office of Product Research and Development where I used to be assigned. And ESL is one of the products that we have conceptualized, because we really recognize the potentials of the Philippines to have this as one of our tourism product offerings. So our key source markets for ESL would really be Japan, Korea, China, Taiwan, Russia, Thailand, Vietnam, Indonesia, Middle East, Mongolia, and Europe. So when we were starting this, ang na-identify lang namin is just Japan, Korea, China, Taiwan. But over the years, ayan, nag-expand na pala yung market natin, as far as Russia and even Mongolia. I know that there were also South American countries that used to inquire about this when I was still handling this in OPRD. And then our destinations naman here in the country would be, of course, Cebu, Iloilo, Baguio, and there are upcoming destinations as well. It's okay, we can move on. Davao din pala. Now, of course, our aim really is to position the Philippines as a leading study English destination in the global arena. But that is only for ESL. But as you have noticed in my title slide, we want the Philippines to be the center for education tourism. Because under education tourism, there are other forms of education tourism activities that we can offer. And later I will show you that slide. So our Office of Product Research and Product and Market Development have all these activities in place. There are product development activities, consumer activation activities. They participate in language travel fairs abroad in Korea, in China. And I know there's one world travel or education fair that is held annually in London. So dapat nandun ang Philippines. We have to have our presence in all of these educational and international travel fairs. And of course, trade development and support activities. We have to be able to engage or partner with agents abroad that are really catering to this type of market. Next slide, please. Now, just to show you how the ESL product or program has really increased over the years, it's the Bureau of Immigration po kasi ang nagbibigay ng special study permit for short-term study in the Philippines. So from 2013 to 2018, mataas na po yung increase. We have seen a constant growth in our special study permit applications. And I believe in 2018, that's already more than 50,000 special study permit applications. And most of this would be ESL. So just to give us a situationer on education tourism in the country, so with the pandemic, student mobility was crippled, and it's not only in the Philippines but globally. So yung global ESL industry has really been affected by the COVID pandemic. So ESL schools in the country shifted to online platform. So hindi naman natin sila no, we wala man estudyanteng pumupunta sa Philippines ngayon to study ESL, but of course we can continue offering this via online. The shift to online platform also helps in maintaining our presence in the market and provides employment to our displaced Filipino ESL teachers and prevents closure of ESL schools. And then OPMD also sought the assistance of the British Council in the provision of webinars and teaching materials to support and equip the teachers with relevant online teaching skills. Kasi we admit that not all of us would be very techy or very adept, no, in conducting online teaching. So kailangan i-equip natin yung ating mga ESL teachers with these skills. Next slide, please. So what are the strategies of the Office of Product and Market Development moving forward to really pursue, no, developing and promoting the Philippines for education tourism? So one is really to identify and develop education tourism products aside from ESL. And this is, of course, in partnership with our other government agencies like CHED and DepEd, and of course the private sector, and TESDA as well. Develop domestic market segments for education tourism, intensify convergence with CHED through research, capacity building, training, enhancement of tourism products, establish linkages with higher education institutions offering education tourism products, and assist in the marketing and promotion of these products. Fifth is to continue the provision of capacity building teaching skills. Dito po kasi actually isa rin to sa strength ng Department of Tourism is really conducting capability building activities, training programs for our tourism stakeholders, no? At marami po yan. And then lastly is to explore voluntourism as a new niche tourism product in response to the department's thrust to revitalize the country's domestic tourism. Next slide, please. So, yun nga, apart from ESL, these are also other forms, no, considered education tourism activities. So exchange programs, so this could either be students or faculty exchanges. And then meron pong immersion trips. This would fall under the voluntourism program that was mentioned earlier. An apprentice or internship program. Dito po sa apprentice and internship program, we can really actually leverage the Philippines because we always pride ourselves that the Philippines is parang we're number one in hosting, in diba, yung hospitality natin is really tops. Now, I have been advocating this to schools and training institutions that maybe we can really develop programs for short-term internships in the tourism and hospitality sector. And then, of course, the broader program of study abroad. Now, under this convergence with TESDA, CHED, TIBFI, and DepEd, these are our identified areas of cooperation. One is to continue the implementation activities of the Asean MRA TP. So, and then the harmonization of tourism curriculum. We've already achieved this, no? Unti-unti. I mean, malayo na po ang narating actually in terms of harmonizing tourism curriculum. This, just to share you very quickly the background, ang una pong nag-adjust in the early years would be TESDA. They adjusted their training regulations following the ASEAN MRA ACSSTP. And then CHED po, through the CHED Memorandum Order 62. That's why the PSG on tourism and hospitality programs were already updated. And then now, DepEd, we have now DepEd with us, and may mga workshops po ang DepEd so that naka-align tayo, particularly following also the Philippine qualifications framework of NK-12. And then, of course, we should also work on research and innovation programs for tourism and for the tourism sector, the sharing and consolidation of data on career pathways, skills, and competencies needed by the sector, apprenticeship, a stronger apprenticeship and teacher immersion programs, no? DOT would want to really facilitate this. And lastly, to really continue developing education tourism as a product and at the same time promote this abroad or internationally. So with education tourism, we know now that the world is our classroom. So let us, travel, learn, and grow. So good morning po at mabuhay po kayong lahat.
Maraming salamat, ASEC Rika. That's a very meaty presentation. Thank you very much for giving us a lot of updates. And that's an added niche, education, tourism. And of course, we love what you said about competitiveness through people. That's indeed very heartfelt. And of course, we've been receiving a lot of questions in our chat box, in Zoom, in FB. We'll try to answer all of your questions later. Keep asking your questions, and we will be moving on with our next set of speakers representing the Commission on Higher Education. We have the Deputy Executive Director of International Affairs Staff, and we also have the Office of Programs and Standards Development Director 4, who will be discussing enhancing tourism education, ensuring programs responsive to the industry. We welcome, of course, Attorney Lily Frida Emilia and Dr. Cherry Melanie Ancheta Diego from the Commission on Higher Education.
Okay, I'll go ahead, Cherry. You go ahead. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Beth, and thank you, Asikrika, for that. Very comprehensive discussion, which involves both tourism education and education tourism. For the part of CHED, our involvement in this MOU are two-pronged. It's tourism education and education tourism. And these are two different concepts, as also clarified by ASEC Rika. Tourism education, of course, is concerned on the development of the country's human resources and education programs, focusing on the programs of hotel and restaurant management, tourism, culinary courses, and other related disciplines. While education tourism refers to tourism arising as a byproduct of the learning initiative and encompasses concerns with enabling mechanisms to this experience. So it is both travel, tourism activity that is primarily motivated by the tourist seeking educational components and contents while they are traveling. So they're motivated by their need to gain knowledge during also their travel. So I'll be talking about education tourism, and actually the title of my little talk now is on positioning the Philippines as an education hub. In 2019, Chairman De Vera directed the International Affairs Office of CHED to develop a project that will support education tourism efforts and build the higher education sector's global competitiveness, primarily as an education hub. The effort must align with the Philippine Higher Education Internationalization Roadmap, which provides a direction for internationalization initiatives over the four pillars of the sector towards advancing the Philippine higher education as a driver of the country's transformation, effective more inclusive growth, a high trust and resilient society, and a globally competitive knowledge economy as envisioned in Ambition Natin 2014. So the IAS, or the International Affairs Staff Office project, building the internationalization competitiveness of Philippine higher education, is at the core of these initiatives to improve the quality of education that would translate into the development of a competitive human resource capital that can adapt to the shifting demands of in the regional and global environment to support and sustain the country's economic growth. It likewise seeks to position the Philippines as a regional and global education hub while providing opportunities for home-based internationalization. And this can be achieved by uh, enhancing the Philippine higher education sector international reputation, visibility, and promotion, building international opportunities for faculty and staff, developing strategic networking and collaboration initiatives, and expanding global awareness and appreciation of the international learning opportunities available in the Philippines. So as Rika mentioned, one strong niche that we have is English. But for the study in the Philippines, project that is what we call our initiative on education tourism study in the Philippines project with the hashtag real life real learning. We aim to position the Philippines as a higher education hub while supporting the revitalization and intensifying the convergence with the tourism sector at the Department of Tourism through the following components. And all of these components are present in our project: policy research, capacity building and training, enhancing tourism products, as I said, the English language training, farm tourism, heritage tourism, among others. The development of Center for Local Studies and Culture and our universities to be positioned as also as a destination, and of course, partnership development, both local and international. Um, to understand what is the meaning of an education hub, I would refer to the definition of Dr. Jane Knight in her book on international education hubs. And she said that an education hub is a concerted and planned effort by a country, a zone, or city to assemble a critical mass of local and international actors to support its efforts to build the higher education sector, expand the talent pool, or contribute to the knowledge economy. And this is how we want to position the Philippines, not just a study destination, but an education hub that will also support our aspirations towards building a knowledge economy. It supports the efforts in building world-class quality Philippine higher education and bringing about greater people-to-people connectivity between students, faculty, and staff in the Philippines, the ASEAN, and other international universities, and providing opportunities for internationalization at home for our local citizens, students, and learners. Our efforts on being an education hub will further enhance institutional capacities and linkages and support globally competitive education delivery, knowledge generation, and innovation. Under the Study in the Philippines programs, grants will be provided to state universities and colleges in areas that will serve as the pilot priority zone, which have been selected with a view towards the core principle of localization of education while leveraging on international partnerships and building on regional development efforts to integrate local, cultural, indigenous, and heritage products and practices within the wider global engagement of the universities. Moreover, the study in the Philippines, projects will support development plans and programs on the convergence of academe, local government units, industry, small medium enterprises, communities, civil society, and other stakeholders. In this way, the SUCs were categorized through the following priority themes. So these are the three categories: culture, heritage, and museums for the preservation and appreciation of participants of products of Philippine culture and heritage, agriculture, forestry, and fishery, promotion and development of the tourism potential of economic activities, and environment and natural resources, on conservation and restoration of ecological systems. As pointed out by ASEC Rica, the National Development Plans of 2011 to 2016 and the current one, 2017 to 2022, education tourism has been identified as one of the core tourism product categories. And as education tourism continues to be a niche product, supporting the DOT's efforts to extend the country's appeal by building new destination markets, the wider development of the Philippines as a student, knowledge, innovation, and partnership hub encompassing activities relating to the tourism industry and more significantly to the higher education sector. We believe that this can truly contribute to the attainment of the national development goals. The CHED international staff is currently coordinating with, of course, the Office of ASEC RICA, and also with the Office of Product and Market Development through ASEC Verna Esmeralda Buen Suceso, Assistant Secretary for Product and Market Development, and her team, so that we can identify and develop through the Study in the Philippines program other education tourism products in HEIs that assist in bringing about the recovery of the tourism sector and increase employment opportunities for Filipinos. Through this MOU, we hope to coordinate also with ASEC Ricaban in terms of capacitating the tour guides, frontliners, hotels, etc., who actually deal with the tourists. Since we have projects like in the Bulacan State University, wherein they seek to capacitate the tourist guides who are now in the Biak na Bato, and therefore they generate job opportunities for local stakeholders, especially those who directly deal with the tourists. The Commission and Bank of CHED immensely supported this project with ample funding for the pilot projects in 2019. And leading this is the University of the Philippines Baguio with their series on museum management training for higher education institutions, transforming university museums as sites of cultural education and creativity tourism destinations. And we're really very excited with this effort as we involve all the other recipients of the Study in the Philippines project, because the training is not just in creating physical museum but also virtual museums, and we hope that the Department of Tourism this can also support the effort of the Department of Tourism. For the University of Antique, we have supported their project that they call Wanna Go Tourism program, or it's actually an application wherein they're able to position the different sites and tourism destination in the province of Antique. For the Iloilo State College of Fisheries, development of a Fisheries and Marine Science Virtual Museum, and for the Bulacan State University, Sustainable Heritage Imbibing Nationalism through Education in Bulacan, or what they call hashtag Shine Bulacan. For 2020, we have projects like establishment of a campus-based Kalinga Cultural Heritage Studies and Tourism Center by the Kalinga State University, agri-ecotourism development and accelerated promotion of technopreneurship in Tarlac Agricultural University, or ADAPT TAU. We have also the e-farm, or the Food and Agricultural Resources Management Academy by the Central Luzon State University. And for the Iloilo Science and Technology University, Cultural Heritage and Educational Research Center, and EduTourism project. And lastly, an eco-based sports tourism project, again by the University of Antique, that they call Sipal Escuelas. Of course, we were planning all of this in 2018, 2019, and we were really very excited. We were considering the 2020 as a banner year for all of these edutourism products, but then COVID happened, and it had a severe impact to higher education as universities close their premises and countries shut their borders. I do not have to repeat the impact it has also on the higher education institutions worldwide, even in the countries. But these projects have been calibrated. That's why also the emphasis on the virtual museums, the virtual exchanges that are happening now in the university, and very soon also even virtual immersions. Against the backdrop of this pandemic and its impact that affects the way we do things, how we learn, live, and work, the United Nations WTO underscores the importance of international dialogue and cooperation, and emphasizes that this pandemic also represents an opportunity to showcase how solidarity can go beyond borders. This project on education tourism and tourism education at all the agencies, the Department of Tourism, the three education agencies, and TIBFI, this manifests that now more than ever, we as government agencies, together with the industry, can stand hand in hand, working together in the spirit of Bayanihan spirit to advance quality education, national competitiveness, and the building of our national aspirations. Maraming salamat po. And now I will also turn you over to the other side of Chad's participation also in this MOU, the tourism education program. Director Cherry Jego, the Director of Programs and Standards of the Commission on Higher Education.
Thank you, ma'am. We would like to thank our Deputy Executive Director of the Commission on Higher Education, and at the same time, our champion for internationalization in higher education. If she is the one in charge of showcasing the Philippine higher education system to become a hub in the realm of internationalization, we in the Office of Program Standards and Development comes in when it comes to the development of our human resources, who will serve as our arm to develop our tourism sector. And primarily, we are in charge with enforcement of guidelines, particularly our policies, standards, and guidelines to ensure that we produce globally competitive resources who will be able to showcase that Filipino brand of hospitality all over the world. So indeed, as we break new grounds today through this convergence, we do not only forge partnership, but we celebrate milestones of achievement together with our partners, the Department of Tourism, Department of Education, Technical Education Skills Development Authority, and Tourism Industry Board Foundation. Not only them, because we in the Commission on Higher Education also work with our partners. And it's really worthy to mention that we have our technical panel and technical committees who give us their technical expertise. In as much as they are with us today, let me just recognize some of them. Of course, we have Dr. Benher Ong of the College of St. Benilde, Professor Ma Cecilia Chokison of the University of Santo Tomas, Dr. Ignacio Cordova of Fatima University, Ma'am Cristina Aquino of the Tourism Industry Board, of course, our very own ASEC, Marica Bueno of the Department of Tourism, Mr. Cedric Sazon of representing the industry, and from the Travel and Tours, Miss Eileen C. Clemente. So we thank them always for giving to us their support and technical expertise, if only to bring in quality and excellence in tourism education. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, what is it that we would like to complement with or work with together with our partners? Definitely, we are looking at harmonizing our activities towards producing highly employable graduates and world-class tourism manpower. Of course, with defined mandates, our agencies have agreed to work on strengthening industry-led education and training that will standardize academic and practical instructions with the end result of producing world-class tourism manpower. Of course, we would like to bring in support initiatives on the development of human resources in the Philippine tourism industry and collaborate together so that we'll be able to align and synchronize our commitment to ASEAN through plans and programs of complementation and collaboration. What is it that we're able to commit? Hopefully, with us in this partnership of convergence, we'll be able to coordinate and harmonize our policies, strategies, and programs for the design, development, and implementation of a seamless tourism education and pathways. After all, we are on fire, the fourth industrial revolution. Everything has become towards seamlessness, seamless engagement, seamless education. We would like to share relevant information and resources of the academe to benefit our Philippine tourism industry, identify priority areas in human resource development, looking at research and innovation strategies. Of course, being in higher education, we put premium to innovations and, of course, new discoveries that will add to the existing discourse or body of knowledge in tourism education. For we believe that it is through understanding this existing body of knowledge that we will be able to come up with new models that will bring in more quality to tourism education. We would like to ensure alignment of programs to the Philippine Qualifications Framework and the Asian Qualification Reference Framework. And this was well said by no other than our chairman, J. Prospero de Vera, during his message a while ago. We would like to undertake capacity and calibration training for our stakeholders and, of course, collaborate further to implement the Asian MRA TP. Next slide, please. So what is it that we would like to do? Given the disruptions we're experiencing now, especially with COVID-19 pandemic, we are more than challenged, especially in higher education, to be more agile, responsive. Way forward, we are looking at ensuring that our CHED memorandum orders are aligned with the current as well as future needs of identified industries, recalibrate outcomes based on adjustments and innovations in the tourism sector. Of course, we would like to continue the development of open education resources available in higher education institutions. It may be worthy to mention, with the leadership of Chairman Prospero de Vera, we were able to launch what we call the Field CHED Connect. This is an open education resource which our students, faculty members, and all those interested to do research for teaching and learning can access for free, and you may try it on through our website. Of course, we would like to support the conduct of quantitative and qualitative researches to evaluate current models of online teaching and learning, flexible learning towards sustainability and effectivity. Reason why we do not only do capacity building later on, but we'll proceed to the development of content materials for flexible learning. We would like to encourage cooperation and partnerships of all our key players to promote quality of teaching and learning in tourism education. We would like to determine career pathways and future skills needs of the tourism sector in the next 3 to 5 years. And of course, we continue to innovate our curricula and of course, delivery methods in order to quickly retool our students towards the new normal. So ladies and gentlemen, with that, definitely today is a manifestation of a true spirit of bayanihan. With you, yes, we lead. With you, we co-create. With you, we transform. Marami pong salamat. Mabuhay po tayong lahat.
Thank you very much, Director Cherry Melanie Ancheta Diego and Attorney Lily Frida Emilia from the Commission on Higher Education for giving us a lot of insights about the projects and initiatives of the Commission, and of course, for bringing to life interconnectivity between higher education and of course the industry. We're very much appreciative, and of course, we've been receiving a lot of questions and inquiries specifically about the OJT manuals. Please be reminded that these OJT manuals are distributed by RMA, and so you may contact our founding president, Dr. Gloria Bacon Wongsi, on how you can avail of the hard copies. It's available in our website of TIVFI and RMA as well. So thank you very much for those inquiries. And moving on with our third speaker, who will discuss very interesting topic in relation to what happened earlier. And the title of her presentation is Convergence. Make it real, make it happen. we welcome on stage the Executive Director of Certification Office of the Technical Education Skills Development Authority, Executive Director Maria Susan Patty P. De La Rama. Director Patty?
Beth, let me share my screen. All right. Actually, I said that will be my title, but the poster says Industry-Led Assessment and Certification for Tourism and Hospitality Industry. So I use that title, but will end with Convergence, making it real, making it happen. So let me go through this very quickly. I'll stick to the 10 minutes that was given to me. I would like to start with this, as always, my favorite slide, our quality assured Philippine Tibet system. And if we talk about industry-led assessment and certification, that is, we have been doing that ever since we were created, because all our processes starts with industry consultation. Director Aimee, who is also here, is the one in charge of development of our training regulations. And she has always worked with industry. So that is where our industry-led assessment and certification begins, from the development of the standards, the assessment tools, and then to competency assessment and certification. But we want to make it really stronger and also real. Let me go back also, give you a background on the legal basis. So our TESDA Act of 1994, we were established in 1996. This specific section 22 talks about the National Competency Assessment and Certification. And you can see here, and I've highlighted it in red font, that our national occupational skills standards, and we know that by now as a training regulations, shall be established or developed by TESDA accredited industry committees. So that is why ever since Director Aimee's office has been developing these training regulations together with industry. The authority shall develop and implement for a while. Okay, sorry for that. The authority shall develop and implement a certification and accreditation program in which private industry groups and trade associations are accredited to conduct approved trade tests, and so on. So just want to highlight
Director Patty? At this point, we are still receiving a lot of questions in our chat box via Zoom and FB. Again, we'd like to remind all of the stakeholders, if you'd like to get a copy of the OJT manual, it's being distributed, of course, by the RMA. Our founding president, Dr. Gloria Bacon Wongsi, together with the board members, are actively distributing all these materials for all of you. So please do get in touch with us. It's on our website as well as the website of the Tourism Industry Board Foundation Incorporated. And of course, we would like to thank the first three speakers, Director Rica, we have Attorney Milia, and of course, Director Jego. And we will be continuing on with Director Patty in a while. At this point, we still encourage you to be more engaged with us by posting your questions in our Zoom, in our FB chat boxes. So kindly put your inquiries. We have a technical team who will pick up your questions. And some of this, I understand, is being answered already by our team. At this point, I think I would have to shift, and we'll have the presentation of from our partner from the Department of Education. So again, it's an honor to introduce the Supervising Education Program Specialist of the Department of Education, who will discuss enriching senior high school curriculum on tourism and hospitality. May we welcome on the virtual floor Dr. Enrique S. Palacio. Dr. Eric?
Great morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's my honor and privilege to share this presentation about enriching the senior high school curriculum. In enriching the senior high school, next. In enriching the senior high school curriculum, it is always important for us in the Department of Education to go back in the overall goal of the K-12, and that is to holistically develop Filipino with 21st century skills. But in order to achieve this, there are multi-level of considerations such as monitoring and evaluation system, which really provided essential feedbacks and information. Then the curriculum support system, like we train our teachers, we provided facilities and equipment, we also ensured ICT environment and the assessment. For our school principals, we also provided them school leadership management training, and then we really collaborate with communities and industries for partnership. And these are leading to the development of the important 21st century skills like information, media, and technology skills, learning and innovation skills, communication skills, life and career skills, through learning areas such as language, technology, and livelihood, education, mathematics and science, arts, and humanities. Next. In a snapshot, this is the Enhanced Basic Education Program. And the senior high school is our subject in enriching the curriculum, particularly the tourism specializations under home economic strands of the TBL track. As you can see, there are also other tracks like academic, sports, and arts and design. Regardless of tracks and strands, senior high school program has three categories of subjects: core, applied, and specialized. Next. In enriching the senior high school curriculum, we need also to consider the features of the K-12 curriculum. It must be learner-centered, inclusive, and based on various researches. Must have its own standards, competence-based, seamless, and decongested. Then, of course, the curriculum must be culture-responsive and culture-sensitive, integrative, contextualized, relevant, and responsive. And since we are in the 21st century, the curriculum must be flexible, ICT-based, and global. Next. The consideration with the curriculum outcomes should also be given emphasis. The Philippine Qualification Framework, as defined by Executive Order Number 83, Series 2012, is a national policy that describes the level of educational qualification and sets the standards for qualification outcomes. PQF defines 8 levels qualification descriptors, with the first 2 levels, level 1 and 2, residing at the end of grade 10, junior high school, and grade 12, senior high school, respectively. From this end of grade 10 and grade 12 outcomes, we define the key stage outcomes of basic education. These key stages are the end of grade 3, grade 6, grade 10, and grade 12. Key stage outcomes are then translated to the content, standards, and performance standards, which are then unpacked and articulated as learning competencies. These learning competencies are the basis for learning resources, which consists of teachers' guides and learning materials for all learning areas across grade levels. Next. We need to be conscious about the learning areas in the senior high school program. There are 8 learning areas like language, science, philosophy, social science, mathematics, communication, humanities, and PE and health. And we have 4 tracks like academic, TVL, sports, and arts and design. With the K to next. With the K-12 expected outcomes, we are also expecting that our students, or eventually our graduate from the senior high school enriched curriculum, will achieve the 21st century skills and that they are ready for the senior high school curriculum exits. The higher education, the middle level skills development, entrepreneurships, and employment. Next. Then we also need to understand that in enriching the curriculum, we are also guided of the following legal basis, like RA 10533, Enhanced Basic Education Act of 2013, and Republic Act 1139-2 or Philippine Innovation Act. Under 10533, we have Section 5, Curriculum Development. Next. It says here that DepEd shall formulate the design and details of the basic education curriculum. It shall work with the Commission on Higher Education and test that to craft, harmonize basic, technical, vocational, and tertiary curricula for global competitiveness of the Filipino graduates. Under Section 10.2, D and H of RA 10533, the curriculum shall be contextualized, globalized, localized, and indigenized. Next. Under Section 6 of RA 10533, the Curriculum Consultative Committee, this committee shall be created and chaired by the Department of Education with members like TESDA, CHED, DOLE, and other concerned agencies and organizations. The committee will review, evaluate, and formulate necessary refinement of the curriculum. In this convergence, we are grateful that we are joined by TI, BFI, DOT, TESDA, and CHED. Next. Enriching the senior high school curriculum is definitely anchored on Section 2.G of RA 11293 because DepEd is also after for innovation, and in terms of curriculum, we're also seeing new specialization which were not part of the regular tracks in the senior high school and aligned with the needs of Industry Revolution 4.0. Next. And the enrichment of curriculum is really equivalent to innovation, which is really the development or improvement of products, process, and services based on Section 3.G of Philippine Innovation Act or RA 11293. Next. In terms of curriculum development, the following curriculum crafters who help us in the development of curriculum guides will also be considered in enriching the senior high school curriculum. We have focal person from the Bureau of Curriculum Development, field from academy, internal and external reviewer, which may be composed of academe and then of course the encoder. Next. This is the curriculum guide process we followed in developing our CGs, and we are also considering this in enriching the senior high school curriculum. First on the process is the content and review skills. Draft 1 shall be created by technical panel, a technical committee, or the drafting committee, and then the comments for draft 1, the curriculum guides are reviewed by internal and external reviewers. Draft 2, crafters shall revise the review draft. And then for final curriculum guide, DepEd reads comments in curriculum finalization workshop. Next. After the content and skills review, the curriculum guide goes through a language review. For final touches, the CG goes through a copy and proofreading, and then the language editor must have the knowledge of the content. Next. We just wanted to stress, in order to achieve the content, age, and level appropriateness of CGs in tourism education, we are really banking on the horizontal and vertical articulation of the curriculum. And this can be done, of course, with the presence of CHED, TESDA, through assistance of TIBFI and Department of Tourism. Next. In DepEd, we have already TDL specialization since 2016-2017. The first year of implementation of the senior high school program, like Local Guiding Services NC2, Philippine Tourism Promotion Services NC2, Travel Services NC2, Attraction and Theme Parks NC2. And for Attraction and Theme Parks NC2, NC2, we have a strong partnership with Philippine Association Amusement Parks and Theme Parks, or PhilAPA. Next. Since then, we are also paving way for unique track under the senior high school program. And this is a great avenue for the enriched senior high school curriculum because the unique track is an innovative track or strand other than the standard program set, developed, and approved by the Department of Education, nominated by the applicant school, national agencies, institutions, and organizations. Next. Okay. Like unique track, we are also considering the following requirement for enrichment of the senior high school curriculum, like recent study, both local and international, relative to the proposed track, strand, or program. Then identification of partners and experts. C, formulation of MOA, MOU, or MOC. Then determining resources like equipment, facilities, then written curriculum, and then, of course, the clear articulation of the senior high school exits. Of course, once the curriculum is enriched, we need also to ensure the areas of partnership, which also covers the delivery or the implementation of the enriched curriculum. Apart from the curriculum development, it is also important that we support them through delivery and implementation, like learning materials, training of teachers and student qualification, processing of school application, facilities and equipment, work immersion, and of course, monitoring and evaluation. In response to this convergence, the Department of Education, through Bureau of Curriculum Development, is set to conduct workshops for industry-aligned unique specializations, like workshop on the development and validation of the industry-aligned specialization on November 16 to 20, and workshop on the finalization of industry-aligned unique specialization November 23 to November 27, 2020. And with that, DepEd sincerely believes that in the power of collaboration and convergence with Department of Tourism, CHED, TESDA, and PIBFI. And we consider this as great milestone not only in enriching the senior high school curriculum, but most importantly, harmonizing the tourism education and training in our country. Maraming salamat po.
Maraming salamat, Dr. Palacio, Sir Eric, for giving us a walkthrough on how the senior high school curriculum is being enriched so that we can follow the track of the Philippine Qualifications Framework. We're also very happy to see the different areas of partnership as initiated by the Department of Education. Thank you very much. At this point, for us to be able to complete the educational puzzle, we bring you back the Executive Director of the of the Certification Office of the Technical Education Skills Development Authority. Again, Director Maria Susan P. De La Rama.
Thank you, Beth, and sorry to all. I didn't notice that I have already low bat. So let me share again, and I promise this is going to be very quick. So I was here, I left here on the legal basis. So ever since really when the TESDA was created, we were industry-led. That's the one reason why the education agency back then had to be trifocalized. And particularly for TESDA, it's our mandate to be responsive to the demands of industry. So ever since we were industry-led, but we would like to further improve on this. TIBFI, TIBFI is our loan industry board that's been existing ever since we were created. Tina mentioned earlier that they are already on their 40th anniversary. So they were created before in the NMYC, the National Manpower and Youth Council. So we were working with industry boards, but after some evaluation, we thought, or the consultant said that the industry boards are not doing what they are supposed to do. So we have to strengthen the industry boards. So in the beginning of TESDA, wala munang industry boards, but we worked with industry associations. But now we're back and strengthening this industry board. So if we are going to have an industry-led assessment and certification. Particularly, we are recognizing industry certification. We are working now on strengthening the industry boards, as I said. The industry boards is a quadpartite body composed of the employers, labor representatives, academe, and even government. So in government, for the tourism industry board, and it's being practiced by the tourism industry board, there is the Department of Tourism and TESDA also sitting in their board. So I think it's with the tourism industry board that's really applying this principle in our industry board creation. And this is just a recommendation. We're going through the guidelines, finalizing the guidelines together with some industry bodies that we have recognized. So we are recommending that we really adopt industry board as a title, because we were talking of sector skills councils. So we are going to use industry boards because that is what is provided in our law, RA 7796. But we are setting now the criteria on the membership of the industry board, while before we have been working with industry associations. So whatever they have in their membership, we don't have any comment on that. We just work with them so that we can produce our training regulations, our standards, and assessment tools. And these are just recommendations as of now. This has to be finalized and approved yet by our EXECOM, the secretary, and then eventually the TESDA board. And the industry board shall be responsible for standard setting and assessment, but TESDA will still be the certifying body. So that's our recommendation. And that in so doing, whatever the activities of the industry board will have, we will be also providing funding to the industry boards. So the objectives of these industry boards, first, is to institutionalize the participation of industries, employers, labor groups, learning institutions, and government in the governance of technical education and skills development, and to increase the relevance of TVET programs to industry needs and contribute to the growth of the industries, and further enhance the employability of the TVET graduates. So if we produce really industry-relevant programs, then we will be sure that the TVET graduates will be employed after, or they will have their means of livelihood after. For now, we have a relatively high employment rate, 65%, but we hope to bring it up higher. So the role of the industry boards as proposed is that they will provide the necessary labor market information to TESDA in aid of policy and program decisions. They will recommend priority qualifications and industry skills requirements so that we will be able to develop the standards and the training regulations for such. And they will lead in the development and regular review of competency standards, curriculum exemplars, and assessment tools. They will also lead in the promotion and implementation of various TVET activities, to include enterprise-based programs and skills competition, and recommend certification models and or their own industry-based certification for recognition by TESDA. So it will be managed by them, but we will still use our TESDA certificate. Also, what we would like to see with the industry-led assessment and certification is that it will be accepted and sought for by the industry, businesses, and enterprises. It will be conducted by and for the industry that it serves. The industry will have the capacity, facilities, in terms of facilities, human resources, financial resources, and the reach. So they have their network across the country, and there will be clients that will be asking for their certification. And most importantly, and we're going through this now, you've heard about the ASEAN MRA on tourism professionals, the ASEAN Qualifications Reference Framework, and now we are benchmarking on the ASEAN Guiding Principles and Protocols for the Quality Assurance and Recognition of Competency Certification System. So this is now what will make our certificates recognized by the other ASEAN countries if we are aligned and we are harmonized with what this ASEAN guiding principles and protocols has. So in the last year, we've been pilot testing it, and Philippines is together with Malaysia and Indonesia in the pilot implementation of this ASEAN guiding principles. We've actually finished the pilot implementation. We've passed. There are some areas for improvement, but we are now expanding this to all the ASEAN member states. So that is already we passed the first stage and we're now going into the second stage. And what are these ASEAN guiding principles? So first, governance. It means that providers or if it's an industry body that will be doing the industry certification, and we will recognize, then the providers will have clearly documented goals and objectives, governance arrangements, and they should have the financial resources necessary for its operation. Accountability means that there is monitoring and evaluation system for their practices and performance against set requirements of the competent authority, that's TESDA, and uses stakeholder feedback, ensures that results of quality assurance are publicly reported. Transparency is that they have accurate and clear information in relation to their assessment and support services for their clients. Independence means assessment services are conducted with impartiality, no conflict of interests, and ensures independence of decision-making, especially on the outcome decisions. Confidence in standards means that the providers have processes and practices that ensure that services conducted by themselves or on their behalf meet the required standards and expectations. The industry providers, processes, and practices should provide the competent authority and its stakeholders with assurance that individual achievement standards have been met. And there's continuous improvement, the balance between compliance requirements and continuous improvement processes to ensure that the services of the industry body will meet stakeholder and client needs. And there's proportionality, and that means that the provider quality assurance and quality review approaches are fit for purpose and focused on ensuring quality outcomes. And last but not the least, there's flexibility of services. Providers ensure that barriers to assessment services for national or international applicants are minimized. So as I've said earlier, we have done with the first stage. We've passed this, though there are some areas for improvement. We would like to share this with the rest of the sector. So soon we will be doing information dissemination about this. And so what does convergence mean? So ito na yung binigay na title ni Dr. Beth. Well, this is just a play of words, just very rushly done, but hopefully we can think of other very good meanings for this converge. I used only converge para mas maigsi. So C for collaboration, for the objective of nurturing vital, effective, and tourism-relevant growth of the economy. So very quickly. So with Convergence, we've signed the Memorandum of Understanding. Let's make it happen and let's make it real. But we have done this actually only with Department of Tourism and the TIVFI, our industry partner. We would like that this be, we would like to expand this to cover our other partners now, particularly our brothers in the and sisters in the education sector, DepEd and CHED. So we've been doing for the last 3 years the convergence to achieve mobility of persons across ASEAN member states and sustain excellence in our systems and standards. That's our camp assess. So for 3 years, we've been converging, collaborating to calibrate our competency assessors and even our trainers in the tourism sector. So we will do it one more time this year. We will invite also the Department of Education and the CHED. So with the Philippine Qualifications Framework, this is also one way of making convergence real, and we can make it happen. We have the PQF. There are levels 1 to 8. There are 3 agencies that's working on this. We have also other partners, other government agencies who are partners of this. But we can really make it happen if we would have this operationalization of a real seamless porous PQF for the tourism qualifications. So if we can only, we can start with developing a harmonized and continuous functional qualification map from level 1 to level 6 or 7. When we were conceptualizing this PQF back in 2012, that was already in our plan. But, you know, there are 3 agencies. We have our own systems and processes. But I am sure with this convergence group now that we have, we can make this happen. And so, as I've said, it's our DOT that's leading us. We have the TIVFI, our industry partner, and the 3 education agencies that will make this real and will make it happen. So thank you very much. I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Director Patty. Those are really very interesting information coming from TESDA. Of course, we love the new term quadpartite. We've been hearing tripartite, now it's quadpartite. And of course, we love the fact that TESDA is on to industry-led assessment and certification. And we would love to hear more information about that. Thank you very much. At this point, of course, we would like to hear from the industry. All of the things that we're talking about will be meaningless if we do not involve the industry. Of course, to give the industry response and commitment, we would like to welcome the chairperson of the Tourism Industry Board Foundation Incorporated, Maria Cristina G. Aquino. Ma'am Tina.
Thank you very much, Beth. It's been a long day, but I think it's a lot of commitments that we're making right now. And I'm very happy to see that all the stakeholders that are involved are actually going to be committing to join us in this memorable MOU signing. So my topic is about the first of many steps together for tourism. We come from many directions. There are different mandates for each of the different organizations. We have DOT, DepEd, TESDA, and CHED, as well as for TIVFI. But these steps now will lead together to one common target. And so I hope that we will go and strengthen our tourism industry with meaningful graduates who will not only work but also become entrepreneurs in the business. They say that coming together is a beginning, and so the MOA, the MOU is a beginning, but staying together is progress. So the test now is how do we operationalize this MOU, and working together success. The benchmark now of success is what outputs we will have as a result of the joint working group. Tourism and hospitality industry is actually involved with many sectors. You have the travel, you have lodging, you have the assembly and event management, you have other sectors, and all of these are actually greatly affected as a result of COVID. And because of this, the Philippine Tourism Stakeholders Forum, which was conducted by PhilTOA, actually put a hard core feeling about the tourism industry. 5 million jobs have been lost, and 0.5 million MSMEs are actually going to be closing shop as a result of the effect of COVID. And so what we need to do is make sure that we are able to support, and how will we support the tourism industry. The Philippine Travel Survey Report, Insights on the Filipino Travelers' Sentiments on the New Normal. This was a research that was undertaken by the Department of Tourism together with a guide to the Philippines as well as the Asian Institute of Management last June 29, actually listed quite a number of steps on how business will start as a result of this. Domestic leisure travel will lead the recovery of Philippine tourism. So now you are seeing that there are protocols on staycations, how we're developing the regional destinations as well. Majority of travelers expect a reduction of their income and travel budget. People, because of financial challenges, will not have as much disposable income as a result of this. But health and safety remains the primary concern of travelers. How do we make sure that the curriculum we prepare our graduates will actually have health and safety as primary inputs into the service that they do? Travelers would prefer reduced contact activities once leisure travel restrictions are lifted, and so on. And so as travelers prefer online and digital channels for convenience and reduced contact, as well as other travelers plan to reduce will travel close to home. And all of this actually tells us what thing? It tells us that travelers now will be very picky about the events that they participate in. How do we prepare now our workers in tourism, the tourism professionals that we have? We have the ASEAN MRA on tourism professional that has actually been discussed by all the previous speakers. You can actually download a handbook that will make it easy for you to understand this. But one of the things that we have here as a result of this ASEAN MRA is that this is not just one of the MRAs that have been signed already. What makes number 8 unique would be all the others, 1 to 7, are under the purview of the Professional Regulation Commission, but for tourism, it is TESDA. And they have been doing the assessment and next slide, please. Assessment even prior to the ASEAN MRA on tourism professionals. We have 3 lead agencies who will make sure that the implementation of the ASEAN MRA is fully realized. We have the National Tourism Organization, which is going to be the Tourism Department of Tourism. We have the Tourism Professional Certification Board, and this is going to be the TESDA's role. And we also have the National Tourism Professional Board, which is TIBFI. It's a tripartite organization that's composed of public, private sectors, including academia, who are all stakeholders of tourism. Okay, we have several labor divisions. This was mentioned by everyone, even Secretary Berna. She mentioned the 6 labor divisions. We have 4 labor divisions in the hotel services with accompanying job titles. We also have the labor divisions of travel services. Can we go to the next slide? Yes. That has two secondary labor division, tour operations, and travel agencies. There are a total of 32 job titles that we have. So how do we make sure that everybody speaks the same language, follows the same minimum standards in terms of this? We have the toolboxes. We have a new coming soon labor division, which is MICE, Conference, Exhibitions, and Events. And the job titles would be as follows, that you would find in the next slide. There are many job titles that we have. And this actually goes to show that the Filipinos actually are the preferred tourism professional, not only here in the Philippines, but also in ASEAN region, as well as more than the ASEAN region as well. So let me just define some terms. The ACC-STP, or the ASEAN Common Competency Standards for Tourism Professional, consultant from ASEAN actually went around to the different countries of the ASEAN member states and asked focus group on particular competencies that are relevant for front office, for housekeeping, etc. They came out with a list that had more than 1,000 competencies. And so this consultant actually limited it to common competencies. And so you have a big number there, 242 competencies that can actually be mix and match to create 52 qualifications that are found in the common ASEAN tourism curriculum. So where do you find it? If people were attending our ASEAN MRA on TP awareness seminars before, the old site that we had was the W ASEAN Tourism, but right now it has been moved to a new repository. This is the atprs.org, and if you visit that, you will find key materials. I, in fact, I've been conducting several ASEAN Toolbox connections, and I was very happy to see that we have representatives not only from academia, but we also have representatives from industry and from local government units. So what do you find in the key resources? You will find materials such as the assessor's manual. This is one way of checking on how, if the candidate is actually competent or not already. There are good models of assessments that you can use already. There are also PowerPoint presentations you can use as a trainer, whether you're in academia or in industry, you can use this. And you also have a trainer's guide. You would have notes that are found underneath. And you also have, finally, the trainee's manual. The trainee's manual will include glossary of terms and acronyms. We speak the same language, except that different terms may mean differently for other people. And so what we need to do is make sure that we understand each other. What is significant about this is because this is the same material that many of our faculty members can now use as part of their modules that you are creating as a result of the online or flexible learning that we have. And so these toolboxes are actually going to be found now in different repositories, in the PhilConnect of CHED, as well as in DepEd's Learning Commons, I believe. So the first of many steps, Together for Tourism. Where do we start? I'd like to start by saying that for government, they have been defining new protocols and standards. There's a need for us to review current curricula and monitor compliance to these standards. For academia, the role is to create training modules, provide feasibility or research that's going to be needed by industry as well as by government, provide designs that are COVID-proof, provide research assistance, and support local businesses. For industry, you now want to make sure that you encourage employees to undergo training, especially now that maybe there is reduced workload in the various enterprises right now. This now is a time for you to actually do self-learning as part of your development program. Attend workshops that are being conducted by different government agencies. Approach academia for industry, for assistance, for research maybe. Explore options to reboot, to re-strategize, maybe because the current business model may not be appropriate right now, and maybe apply for various aids that are available at the moment. They say that working together, we have overlaps between government, industry, and academia. And the sweet spot we have is common, which is right at the center, and I'd like to continue on that later on. I always end my talk getting to know TIBFI. What is TIBFI? People have been talking about TIBFI since day one, since the speaker one. But I'd like to just mention that TIBFI is actually. Can we go to the next slide? This is just to show you that we were inducted in office by no less than Secretary Berna. We have representatives from various associations like the HRAP, the ARM, PASEOS, ARME, the RAIN, which is a labor group, PTAA, PhilTowa, and we have our advisors from DOT, TESDA, as well as UPAIT. We've actually sent invitations to DepEd and CHED to assign a member to be part of the board of advisors, because then we can work together, and maybe this is one way that we can actually communicate with each other on how we can come together for these joint initiatives that we have. The TIBFI composition, we have private associate members, such as HRAP. We have institutional members like Ciudad Cristina. We also have PART. We have Lyceum of the Philippines University. We have also individual members at that. Our board of advisors are government agencies. Yes. Our government agencies like DOT, TESDA, and UPAIT, as well as labor is represented in the TIBFI board. NURAIN Centro, which is a National Union of Workers in Hotel Restaurant Associations and Allied Industries Centro, which is very strong in TIBFI. We thank Dani Edralin and Hessel, as well as Lenny Orgarte, for participating in many of the TIBFI board meetings that we have. Moving forward, I'd like to always end with a call to action. Be hospitable. What does be hospitable mean? H means be helpful. Now is the time to help each other. That each unit may not have all the answers, but together we will be able to find answers and help each other. Be open. Next slide, please. Be open to new ideas. With ASEAN MRA being there for since 2012, and the toolboxes have been there also for quite a number of years. Now is the time maybe to review and see if our curricula, if our training modules are very appropriate already, not only here in the Philippines, but what we want to say is we have to make sure that the quality tourist destination that is one of the objectives of the ASEAN is actually created. We do not want to lose our edge as a preferred tourism professional here. And so we have to make sure we are not just looking at employees, but we are also looking at entrepreneurs that we have. S means be supporting. We need to help each other. And so I'm very happy that DepEd invited TIBFI in their workshop in the next few weeks. And I have been coordinating with the rest of the board to make sure that the presence of one or two of our TIBFI board members will actually present in the workshop, because we have been touching base with TESDA. We have been touching base with TESDA together with ASEC as part of the technical committee. But DepEd has been finally, we are able to find a way that we can reach out to DepEd as well. Be patient. P is patient, because there's a lot of work, there's a lot of synthesis, there's a lot of different initiatives that have to come together. And so what we need to do is make sure that we are patient enough to understand where each other is coming from. I means be industry relevant. Industry, TIBFI is at your service. We are here to help you. We have representatives from different sectors, whether it's MICE, it's travel agency, tour operation, hotel, etc. We will send representatives to make sure that you are able to get inputs that will be relevant for your curricula. T is be a team player. Nothing comes to a team in just one go. Somebody has to fill in, maybe get warm, and maybe slowly work out the courage to say how you can actually help the tourism and training education sector to actually become more meaningful in the light of everything that is happening right now. Be ASEAN relevant. If we do not play the game of the ASEAN MRA on TP, we will lose sight of all the job opportunities that are available, not only here in the Philippines, but all as well as in the other ASEAN member states. What's very nice is even before ASEAN MRA, the Filipinos have already been working outside. You go to any country outside of ASEAN, you always find a Filipino in front office, housekeeping, even in the other sectors or labor divisions outside of tourism. And so we have to make sure that we are ASEAN relevant. Then bold. Bold is a big step that we have to make. There are things that we do not know right now. There are things that we have to take the first step and maybe test the waters and take a look at how it impacts on tourism education, on the industry as well. So the convergence of working together is one way of making sure that we're able to come together and realize many outputs. L is be level-headed. We cannot afford to divorce each other with day one. We have to make sure that we continue to work together. Otherwise, the MOU will not realize its objectives. And finally, Be encouraging. We are here. TIBFI is here actually to support you. I'm very happy that many of our board members are actually present not only in Zoom, but also in live Facebook. So I thank you for paying attention in the role that the industry will play. They say it's more fun in the Philippines. I've never gotten tired of saying this, but collaborating, converging is something that will make us working together is going to be more fun with DepEd, TESDA, CHED, and DOT together in one common virtual space, one idea as well. Thank you very much.
We now move on to our Q&A session. To moderate this discussion, let's welcome back Ms. Lilibet Aragon.
All our speakers who gave very comprehensive and meaty presentations this morning. Of course, we have ASEC Maria Rica C. Bueno from the Department of Tourism. We also have Director Cherry Melanie Ancheta Diego from the Office of Programs and Standards Development of the Commission on Higher Education. We also have, of course, Executive Director of the Certification Office of the Technical Education Skills Development Authority, Maria Susan P. de la Rama, the Supervising Education Program Specialist of the Department of Education, Dr. Enrique S. Palacio, and of course, the Chairperson of the Tourism Industry Board Foundation Incorporated, Maria Cristina G. Aquino. We actually received a lot of interesting questions in our FB, in our Zoom chat boxes, and if we will not be able to address them all in the interest of time, I'm sure our resource speakers will have a communication line so that information will be delivered accurately to all our stakeholders. So this is a very interesting session. And of course, we start off with the first question. Since we have already signed the MOU this morning in terms of convergence, we know you've been doing a lot of communication and coordination, between and among agencies. But again, we would like to ask, after signing the MOU, what will be your priority? Take note, priority project as part of your contribution in the Convergence initiative. So maybe you can mention at least one priority project per your department so that we can all be clarified. May we start with ASEC Rica from the Department of Tourism?
Thank you, Doc Beth. I believe the priority of the Department of Tourism is really the updating of our Philippine Tourism HRD Plan. I was informed that we already have the contract for the consultants who is going to help the Department of Tourism update the PTHRD. This is very important because this will actually cover yung sinasabi nating the framework, in really developing and promoting the Philippines as an education hub or as a destination for education tourism. And this is going to be all-encompassing because as we have heard from all our panelists and our partners, na lahat naman ito will be covered in terms of tourism education, training and certification, and of course, ensuring that the industry is also recognizing all of the efforts. Like, for example, the recognition of the certification by tourism professionals. This would all have to be put together and integrated in the PTHRD, updated PTHRD.
Yes, I agree with that, Director Rica. It has to be accepted by the industry. Along that line, may I ask a response from the chairperson of the Tourism Industry Board Foundation, Ma'am Tina?
Yes, Dr. Beth, thank you very much. As mentioned, we have been working closely with TESDA in reviewing the training regulations to align it with the ASEAN MRA. We've also worked with CHED. ASEC Rica and myself are actually part of the technical committee, but we've not worked with DepEd. And so we're very happy that finally an invitation came to our door. We will be actually fielding more than 5 board members to help in reviewing the curriculum guides specific in tourism. And, tourism is such a big employment and business creator. And so we've got to make sure that we support it in terms of making sure that the competencies that are needed would actually be present as early as grades 11 and 12. And because it is, as PQF is saying, it's seamless, it should be seamless progression. And so the output of DepEd is actually going to be meaningful inputs to either TESDA or CHED. And so we've got to start from the DepEd. So I hope that is such a huge undertaking, Dr. Beth. And so that will take mostly our time. And so looking forward to participating in that, Dr. Palacio.
Yes, thank you very much, Ma'am Tina. I think there were a lot of strategies presented by Executive Director Patty. And of course, we would like to hear at least the basic and the priority projects of TESDA in relation to this convergence. Director Patty?
Yes, it's what I mentioned. It's on the industry-led assessment and certification. So this has been an assignment that we have to do. It's an action item for me, particularly. We are already starting the discussions with TIBFI. Our Partnerships and Linkages Office has been discussing with TIBFI on making the recognized industry bodies really work for this TESDA and all the programs of TESDA. So along with that is also our project on recognizing the industry-based certification systems. I've actually requested some inputs already from TIBFI, particularly from Chair Tina Aquino, to send us whatever industry certification that you already are using. We may probably look into that and start recognizing industry-based certification first. Initially, while we are working on the industry-based assessment and certification that you have developed yourselves. So yun munang whatever is available. So that's our priority for now.
Thank you very much, Director Patty. I think that's going to be very exciting. I know you've been working so hard, on the backside. However, some of us wouldn't know what's really happening. And so we appreciate this information given by your office. Of course, I'd like to hear now from Director Jego, Ma'am Cherry, from the Commission on Higher Education, who was able to present, really comprehensive projects. Director Cherry? But when you talk about the priority, what will be on the top of mind of CHED?
Yeah, thank you very much. There are indeed a lot of activities that we need to do together with our partners. However, as far as the Commission on Higher Education is concerned, we are looking at our activities to be anchored on flexible learning, being the approach to sustain teaching and learning, not only in the midst of global pandemic, but even after pandemic. So it's a COVID and post-COVID. Reason why one of the flagship programs of the Commission through the Office of Program Standards and Development is to come up with discipline roadmaps. And one of the priority sectors is on tourism education. So with these discipline roadmaps, we hope to look into several areas. For example, looking at career pathways and equivalencies together with TESDA, and of course with other partners like DepEd, and other activities like, for example, curricular innovation and delivery, technological advancement in disciplines, faculty resource development, internationalization and comparability, research and extension, and network and community of practice. All of this will be part in the development of a discipline roadmap, of course, aligning later also to the human resource development plan, which the Department of Tourism is going to come out with. And looking at also industry needs of the sector, particularly the tourism industry. So we'll be looking at areas like supply and demand chains, all those source part of the discipline roadmap. And we do this together with our experts, our technical panel, and technical committees. Thank you.
I think those are very cohesive and concrete plans coming from the Commission on Higher Education. Of course, we're very happy to have this afternoon. The representative from the Department of Education, Supervising Education Program, would like to hear from you, Dr. Eric, regarding the top priority projects of DepEd in relation to the Convergence. Sir?
Thank you, ma'am. The vertical and horizontal articulation of the curriculum are potent tools for the harmonization of tourism education and training. And we do believe that in terms of vertical and horizontal articulation of the curriculum, it should really start with the Department of Education. But admittedly, we really value the collaboration with DepEd, TESDA, CHED, and TIBFI in order to produce a very relevant and responsive curriculum. And in line with that, we are, as mentioned by Ma'am Eileen, we are also conducting the workshop for industry unique specialization, and that's a good platform for all of us to review the tourism education courses in basic education, and at the same time to develop new curriculum under unique track of the senior high school program.
Thank you very much, Sir Eric. I think a while ago we mentioned something about the OJT program. So this question, this one is addressed to our representative from Commission Higher Education and Department of Tourism. So the structured OJT program will only be effective if the establishments will be mandated to adhere to the checklist and allow the students exposure in all the facets listed. How will CHED and DOT ensure cooperation of partner establishment? I think this refers to the industry, rather than just allowing the students to be involved in menial chores on the job. I think this question is about what will be the support that would be given by the Commission and, of course, the Department of Tourism, because everything is laid down very well, clear in the OJT manuals. But the reinforcement, the operationalization, I think that's the essence of the question. And so maybe I can ask first,
Let me
Asek
let me
Rita.
let me start, Doc Beth. Thank you. Yes, we've been doing. No, the reason why we all know why we came up with the OJT manual, and we know that there is really a concern that we need to address. And the only thing that the DOT can do is really to facilitate a stronger collaboration and partnership between the schools, the academic community, and the tourism private sector. And it is also the reason why we've been doing the OJT manual orientation seminars, because I always believe that sometimes kaya medyo sabihin natin hesitant people are because of lack of understanding and appreciation of the information that we can give them. So, and it is through the orientation seminars that I believe we can address this. The importance of really providing our student trainees with the proper OJT program when they accept them in their respective establishments.
Thank you very much, Asek Rika. And may we hear from Director Cherry? Cherry, please.
Yeah, I'd like to add to Asek Rika. Of course, as we collaborate together with the Department of Tourism to discuss how we will be able to improve this aspect when it comes to on-the-job training, it is very important for us to really define what are the competencies really needed by the students when they get immersed in the industry sector for training. You see, an on-the-job training program is for a very important purpose, and that is to harness the desired potentials for them to become competitive, competent graduates of the future. For that, we have to look at what are really the competencies that will have to be developed during the internship so that they will not be asked to do anything that is not within the defined set of competencies. And looking at competencies, we also get to define the outcomes later on. Because what is it that we would like our graduates for tourism education will be able to demonstrate and be able to do after they graduate. graduation. I know these are all incorporated in the on-the-job training manual, and we hope to enhance this further together with our collaboration with the Department of Tourism and our technical panel of experts. Thank you, Ma'am Beth.
Thank you very much, Director
Yes,
Cherry.
and
I think it's very clear. Yes, Asek Rika.
Yeah. I also like to add the presence, of course, in this convergence of the Tourism Industry Board Foundation, because they are the industry group in this convergence. So perhaps through the TIBFIS stronger, sabihin natin, persuasion and engagement with, all the initiatives in government that they've been doing naman for the past several years. Mas magagamit natin yung ating partnership with TIVFI in pursuing and moving forward with all the other initiatives and programs and activities that we need, no, to strengthen our academe and tourism private sector engagements.
Thank you.
I agree.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Ma'am Tina, maybe you can say a few
Yes.
words.
Thank you, Asek Rika. Challenge accepted. Actually, right now, as businesses are trying to reboot and restart their own operations, the possibility of students undertaking their face-to-face practicum is not going to be there, not in the near future. In fact, we were very happy to host a webinar. TIBFI hosted a webinar. It's okay to not be okay. We pursued a variety of ways that students who are actually graduating and just missing this academic requirement, the practicum, is something that they can pursue. And so there were there were presentations made by different providers. We had some that was presented by government, DOT, I think, presented, and we also have that were presented by industry partners. And so I think for the time being, this is the only way that we can actually complete the practicum, because of course, priority will be given to employees that are actually now on decreased workload. And so there are new protocols, and what we are asking now academe actually to update their syllabus to include already the new protocol. So that's the learning curve of students who actually go out industry will not be as challenging anymore as compared to if you've not done anything with your course outline. So the new protocols are very easy. You can actually download it, DOT is actually a good listing. HRAP actually has all the advisements also in the website. And so what we need to do is take cognizance of all of these changes in the new ways that we're going to be doing operations in our various tourism stakeholders industry. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Ma'am Tina, and I hope that the academic sector will also take the challenge. I believe we are all going to be prepared for that. And so you mentioned something about competencies. Very briefly, I would like to ask each one of you, because our theme is tourism and hospitality education moving forward and beyond. If there are one or two very relevant competencies that our graduates, that our workers would need for us to be able to propel and position the Philippines as the best tourism and hospitality workers in the world, what would it be? The two very critical competencies. Maybe it came from before or it emerged because of the pandemic. So as you review your strategic plans, what do you think are those emerging competencies that will lead our workforce to move forward and beyond? Can I ask first, of course, Director Patty from TESDA?
Okay. Kasi if you ask about competencies, all our standards and training regulations have a whole list of competencies, basic, common, and core competencies. So all the core competencies are, of course, specific to the job. So I would like to focus on the basic competencies, and would like to know that especially in the tourism and hospitality sector, we are known for our caring attitude. So that is what makes us stand out, among all other countries. So if it's the competencies, I'd like to put it as a group, the basic competencies, which includes our 21st century skills, being able to do problem solving, being creative, being analytical, and of course, our customer service And so that is what we need to push, develop more. The core competencies, we are there to develop the skills. The training institutions are there to develop the skills, but we'd like to really put emphasis now on the basic competencies.
Thank you very much, Director Patty. So 21st century skills is still in fashion, definitely. And of course, I'd like to hear from Dr. Palacio from the Department of Education.
Mute.
Can you please unmute Dr. Eric?
Sorry. Okay na, ma'am.
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
For the Department of Education, we also value the 21st century skills, the four clusters of 21st century skills, the information media technology skills, learning and innovation skills, life and career skills, effective communication skills, because these are really the ingredients for the attainment of holistically developed Filipino with 21st century skills, and this will really help them to achieve the higher education, the middle level skills development, the entrepreneurship and employment as a senior high school curriculum exits.
Thank you very much, Sir Eric. So, of course, we've emphasized also the value of entrepreneurship aside from the other 21st century skills. Okay. Can we hear from our representative from CHED, Director Cherry, please?
Thank you, Ma'am Beth. A while ago, I would like to give a rejoinder to Asek. And of course, when she mentioned about the relevance of industry, together with Ma'am Tina, the Tourism Industry Board. Why? Because the industry is the most perfect sector that would define what are really the competencies that are now really needed. Because the end user of the skills or competencies that need to be developed will be the industry. Reason why, in the composition of our technical panels, we put premium to industry membership because, as again I have said, they are the best to define the competencies. However, at this point in time, we are talking about the fourth industrial revolution, the age of artificial intelligence, the age of automation or autonomization, everything at the apex of these competencies. And as already mentioned a while ago, we are looking at graduates who are able to do critical thinking, analysis, graduates who are creative and innovative, but grounded in values of agility and resilience. And that's how we look at it at the moment. Still, we would like to ask our industry, because Ma'am Tina, I think you best define what you really need in the industry sector.
Thank you very much, Director Cherry. Resilience and agility, okay? And later on, I'll call Director Tina for the last one. And of course, now, of course, we have to hear from Department of Tourism, Asek.
Yes, Doc Beth. I'd like to echo Director Patty, that really what is important, nandyan naman lahat when somebody, learns in higher education institution or in the training, all the necessary competencies are in place. But I think what we should harness if you are working in the tourism industry is really the soft skills of yung sinasabi nating, well, we know the IQ, but what most important is the EQ. Kasi while even if you're all, sabihin natin, digital savvy, but if wala kang puso in, handling your guests, so minsan that can happen eh. You can really be very, very smart, very intelligent, but without that human touch. So I think that's what we should inculcate in our students, to never lose that people skills, and because that is also what we are advocating, to really put forward that Filipino brand of service excellence. Thank you.
That's correct, Director Rica. The Filipino brand of service is going to be very relevant. That would set us apart from the rest of the workers around the globe. And of course, would like to hear a response from Director Tina, Chairperson Tina.
Yes, thank you very much, Beth. It's very difficult, among the 242 competencies that you have in the ASEAN MRA on TP, especially as identified in a common ASEAN tourism curriculum, you're asking me to pick one that is my favorite child. And it's so very difficult because when you talk about competencies, you look at knowledge, attitudes, and skills. And, they go hand in hand. But I think one of the things that we need to strengthen among Filipino tourism professionals is the communication skills. We smile when we understand things. We smile when we don't understand things. And the tourist gets confused about what is this. But so we have to make sure that we develop the communication skills as well as the attitude that's needed, as mentioned by Director by Asek Rika. So communication is something that's very important, not only for international tourists, but also for local tourists, and just to work alongside with people that come from different regions or from different cultures. And so I think this is something that we need to develop, not only in higher ed, but I think in depth ed as well. So maybe the communication, English particularly, because we have more than 800 dialects, more than 1,000 dialects actually here in ASEAN region. We've got to have a common way of speaking or understanding with each other. So that goes for my thoughts about competencies.
Thank you very much to all our speakers. We've received a lot of questions pertaining to OJT program. We've also received questions about the teacher immersion program as offered by the Department of Tourism. We've had several specific questions with regards to assessment and certification. In fact, we have comments, we have suggestions, and of course, we will bring it to the attention of our speakers and the relevant agencies present this afternoon with us. In the interest of time, of course, we would like to wrap up this panel discussion by asking each of our speakers what is your parting message on how we can move forward the tourism and hospitality education and connect it with the respective agencies. Is there really a silver lining waiting for all of us?
May I start?
Can ask. Yes, okay, Ma'am Tina.
Now the work begins. And so we have to come together, especially in working together. So I guess the first order of business is to create a joint working group that will actually move forward the agenda of the MOU. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ma'am Tina. Director Patty.
Yeah, so that's what is in my presentation. We have signed the Memorandum of Understanding, but let it not stay as in paper document that we have signed. Let's make it real and let's make it happen.
That's very nice. Of course, I would like to hear from Director Cherry.
Simple lang po, kung sama-sama, kayang-kaya. Tayong lahat gagawa para sa bayan, serbisyo sa bayan, para sa ating mga estudyante na magiging kaakibat natin para sa pag-unlad. Maraming pong salamat.
Para sa bayan. Thank you very much, Director Cherry. That's so beautiful. Ma'am Rika, Asek Rika.
Nasabi na nilang lahat, sama-sama nga, we are all in this together. So let's just look forward to a fun, working relationship in pursuing what we have to do for this country. So maraming pong salamat. We are really, really very happy that this has finally come, today, yung Convergence na matagal na nating inasam, 2012 pa. So almost 10 years. But it's never too late because we know that kaya nga ng bawat Pilipino kung tayo ay lahat ay magsama-samang magtatrabaho. So maraming salamat po. And we look forward to working with all of you.
Thank you very much, Asek Rika, the long but sweet wait. And of course, we'd like to acknowledge for the final message our lone gentleman here, Dr. Eric Palacio from the Department of Education. Sir?
Thank you, ma'am. Since we have shown the collaboration among us, it is also very important for us to #GetConnected. Stay connected.
Get connected, stay connected. Thank you very much, Sir Eric. And of course, we have some reminders for today's webinar. Of course, we will be issuing certificates as provided by the Department of Tourism. Okay, so the DOT, the Office of Industry Manpower Development, will issue a certificate of attendance to all those attendees who registered and completed at least 80% of the total webinar time. So the feedback form will automatically prompt after leaving this message. So we value your comments and suggestion for us to improve our next programs. And of course, at this point, once again, we thank our speakers and guests for this morning. We extend our gratitude to the Department of Tourism, to Commission on Higher Education, Department of Education, Technical Education Skills Development Authority, and of course, the Tourism Industry Board Foundation Incorporated. Hats off also to X-Link and of course the technical team, to everyone who have worked behind the scenes to see the fruition of this MOU signing and this panel discussion. Thank you very much. To all our participants tuned into Facebook Live and Zoom, maraming salamat po. As we always say, the best collaborations create something bigger than the sum of what each agency can create on their own. So coming together is a beginning, keeping together is progress, and working together is success. Let us continue to live in faith as we pray and hope for better days for the better Philippines and the world. Again, magandang tanghali po sa inyong lahat. Mabuhay po kayo at mabuhay ang Pilipinas.
Maraming salamat.
Lift your head, baby, don't be scared of the things that could go wrong along the way. You'll get by with a smile. You can't win at everything, but you can try. Baby, you don't have to worry, 'cause there ain't no need to hurry. No one ever said that there's an easy way. But don't let it bring you down and turn your face into a frown. You get along with a little prayer and a song, and I'll stay through the bad times, even if I have to tell you every day. We'll get by with a smile. You can never be too happy in this life. In a world where everybody hates a happy ending story, it's a wonder love can make the world go round. But don't let it bring you down and turn your face into a frown. You get along with a little prayer and a song. You'll get by.